How's it going, you guys? Happy Tuesday. I'm going to be working with a couple of colors. I'm going to be working with Adult Daycare. We're fading it into speed bubblegum so you guys have an opportunity to see what it actually looks like if you're going to fade it. Let's get right to this. All right, so I've already prepped the nail, removed the shine, and applied protein bond to the surface. What I want to be able to do when I'm actually doing a fade is I'm going to use the color first. So let's just go ahead and take the new forms, all right? And one of the things I like to do, which is great, is pre-pinch the center, right? And then that is going to give me the opportunity to get the form on super tight. Now, here's the thing. Even with forms this long, if you decided that you wanted to go a little bit shorter, what you can choose to do is you can choose to pinch this down and actually, create a shortened length. What I want to be able to do is use Adult Daycare to build out the free edge. What I also want to be able to do is create a nice setup so that when I overlay with speed bubblegum, it's going to blend into the colors extremely well. All right, so what I'll do is I'll use this color. All right, I'm going to submerge my brush. I'm going to go ahead and get a nice healthy amount. Right, and then I kind of want to fade it into the nail. So when I set it down onto the body of the nail, what I'll do is I'll use the body of my brush and really try to work this as flat and flush as we possibly can, right? Okay, so again, working this down and trying to create the desired length, right? So this one we'll just kind of bring down to about right here. And then with whatever glitter is on the nail, I could always use the tip of the brush and just lightly fade it back. I don't need to really add that much more. Okay. If the nail is too thin, you could always add a little bit more onto the surface, which is great. That's going to build up the free edge with the desired length. We're just going to kind of work out a really nice kind of tapered square tip. All right. So once we actually have this on, then what I'm going to do is get a little speed bubblegum. It's very, very bright pink. Let me just make sure that I have enough nail liquid in my dish. I'm going to hold this up to the ferrule. That way I could pour it inside my dish without it not spilling down the side of my bottle. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that when we're applying the pink, I kind of want to fade. So as I set it down and start to fade it over the tip of the nail, there's a point I want to be able to pull it so that the fade blends kind of into it. It's kind of like a reverse fade, right? Kind of like an ombre. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up a nice healthy amount, right? You can see it kind of melt again. If it's not enough, I can always go in, get a little bit more liquid, bounce, 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 give it a couple seconds. 3, 4, and then set this down. I'm going to use the tip of the brush. This one has a little bit of transparency to it, which is beautiful. And as it starts to roll down, then what I want to be able to do right here where the glitter meets is just kind of blend this down and over, right, the tip. Boom. So it's going to fade in nice, but it's almost fading in from the top down. As you can see, as I work the bead down over the tip, the perimeter of the nail is going to lay down really, really tight. A lot of the bulk, right, as I brush through the surface, as you can see, right, this is going to lay down, and it's kind of be, you can see how everything kind of tapers down and all the way through, but it lays down flat. So what I can do, right, is at this point, I can take some speed clear, because I don't want it to look like, and I kind of want it to mask that back end right there. But I'm going to use speed clear to get the remaining amount. And I can kind of set this back right here behind the pink. And then what that's going to do is it's going to give me the transparency that I need at the free edge. So the glitter is going to be absolutely crystal clear. And what I'm doing is, you can see I'm working it down at an angle where a lot of my pressure is down on the very, very front. And as soon as I get it down far enough, then I can actually start to blend it over the tip, right, to add the strength necessary to support this length, okay? Right, so kind of the angle that I'm working at, right, as you can see, is as I'm here, right, my brush, as I'm working this way, my brush is at this angle. And then as I set down this bead, right, my brush is kind of at this angle. And then as it comes down, I start lightly feathering it. As you can see, everything is in place and ready to go. Even if there's a little bit of a gap right here, the best part about that, it doesn't matter what you use. If I chose some of the pink and I went ahead and I just kind of set that down, I kind of brush it over the whole entire surface, all that's going to do is add to the low spot and just kind of make sure that it's going to blend really, really nice. Kind of a reverse ombre. The beautiful part about the bubblegum is that it has a little bit of opacity. It has slight transparency to it. It's an absolute beautiful pink. You can reverse the glitter fade, right? Instead of using a straight clear over the top. That way your customers have that really bright, bold pink in the body of the nail. Great way to use some of the new glitters that you guys acquired over the weekend. I'm going to go ahead and definitely use these throughout the week so that you guys can gather some ideas as you guys are working on new designs. But one of the things I really focus on when I'm building is trying to get my sidewalls, you can see how straight they are coming off of the growth channel from this point to this point. It's going to be the same thing on the opposite side. I'm trying to get that lower arch right here coming out really, really, really straight. And obviously everything just flush, right, tight on the front end. As it starts to dry, you're obviously going to feel the surface. It's funny, as the product starts to cure, it feels like a really soft suede. The free edge on the bottom is definitely curing at a faster rate. But since I only applied glitter to the bottom, I don't want to just rip it off the nail. One of the things you can do is you could always use a sharp spatula, right? And then if you're sliding this kind of underneath the free edge here, right, especially if you're going to be pinching the nail, this is a great way for you to release the forms so that you don't tear it off of the tip. A great way is actually taking the back end of your brush and kind of dipping it inside some powder. And then what you can do is just kind of running it underneath here, right, so that it doesn't stick to the back end of the brush. And then you can see as I can kind of mold, I'm just going to kind of pinch that. Just kind of want to keep that nice and straight. And that way I can kind of, because I want to taper this free edge as much as I can. So as it starts to dry, I'm going to pinch this down to try to get that free edge really, really firm. Got about a 3.5 minute window, 4 minutes before it's completely set. You'll notice the sound, everything starts to click. And then I'm going to set this up for some really great filing. So I like to taper the free edge by keeping the file at an angle. I'm going to line my file up even on both sides so that I have really, really straight, so you can see my file lines go all the way up to the top. And then my lower arch as well, I want to be able to start at the lowest point, right? So here, right, parallel to the finger, at the lowest point, I want to be able to file up and get that absolutely even with this point, right, from mat extension all the way out to the edge. A great way is by taking your client's hand and turning it to the side, right? Don't do it from this side, do it from this side. Line this up at the lowest point. You can see lowest point is here. And then as I file up, then what will end up happening is the file will reach, right, that extension so that you can build really beautiful straight extensions coming out of the growth channel just like that. So once our sides are shaped, then what we want to be able to do is run our electric file. I'm going to run this at around 11,000 RPMs. I don't really have to do that much work. You can see from kind of the side profile. Let me move some of this garbage out of the way. Just take this out so it's nice and clean. Boom. You can see I can just lightly feather that back end. I'm going to do the same thing here and here, right? So all I'm doing is just kind of working through the upper arch to make sure that it's going to be really nice and shaped well. I'm going to come through the body to make sure it's all even. You can see how straight my ledges are. It goes straight up and then it rounds off. Well, what we want to be able to do, if I'm working in one direction towards myself, you can see how everything rounds off right there. I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Notice I'm pulling towards myself. Pulling towards myself. I'm not going side to side like this, right? I'm coming in this direction all the way through. So for those of you guys that got electric files this weekend, pump for you. You're going to be able to follow through with me and use your hot piece of machinery. But you can see how well the pink fades into this and how clear it turns, right? So once I come around and fade the back end down nice and tight, I don't really have a lot of ledges. If there is a little bit of a ledge right here, that's going to blend extremely fast with my hand file. All right, so you can see how much work do I have to do going around the edge. Look how very easy that is to blend. I'm literally just barely touching around the perimeter, and then what I can do is I can follow through on one side, holding my hand file, as you can see from the top, like this. All right, so it's like this all the way down. And then on this side right here, if I have contact going up and then let it fall, up, up, up. So contact going this way and then letting it fall down onto the surface. Okay, last but not least, I'll follow through the whole entire body, and what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to look at it from the client's perspective. Just bring this forward so that you guys can see. Boom. And this is going to give me the opportunity to kind of straighten everything out. There we go. To make sure it's nice and even on that side. And then I'm going to look down in this perspective. So I would take my client's hand and turn it around and then run the hand file here. All right, just nice and even so that I want to be able to get it nice and straight, nice and tight on both sides, right? And then once I'm done really doing my refinement from side to side here, you're going to see how tight everything is when I wipe off everything, right? So I like it because it like fades. You can see how the glitter fades in, but you can see how it's kind of foggy through the center and very transparent on the tip, right? I like it. It looks really good with that new clear, with the clear on the front end. And then obviously that beautiful bubblegum pink on the back. And then, again, you can see as soon as I take a top gel just for shine, excuse the sloppy application, but let me just go ahead and get this on so that you guys can see what this looks like. All right, boom. And that's what we want to be able to achieve, is that type of a fade. All right. Looks good with the color. I like it. I like it a lot. All right, cool. I'll show you guys how you can incorporate in some of the existing products. But again, if you guys have any questions, you can always hit me up. I'm always here to help. Really appreciate you. Appreciate your time. Always here to support and give the best education I possibly can. Love you much. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
Subscribe the channel now. Subscribe the channel now. Sub and subscribe the channel.